Hello, I'm Brian Chambers, Development Director of our Foundry 42 Frankfurt office. This month, the team grew by an additional 2 people, bringing us to a total of 76 employees. This month, we had 20 of those employees participate in a local 5K run here in Frankfurt. Nobody necessarily participated in hopes of winning, but it was a good opportunity to hang out after work and have some fun and exercise. So let's start off this month with checking in with the level design team. The level design team finished the main part of the work they needed to do for the surface outposts, and they're now in the hands of the environment art team. They also had white boxes for both the modular hangars and garages approved, and those were handed over to the art team as well for their visual exploration phase. With the white boxing phase complete, they're currently focusing on implementing the markup required for all our locations. This involves everything from room systems and breathing, environment interactions like vaulting, elevators, and consoles for spawning ships and vehicles. Levski will have a combination of hangars and garages to spawn ships as well as vehicles to explore the planetary surface. With the bulk of the work completed on the previously mentioned locations, they're now moving over to the remaining flagship landing zones for the Stanton system. The first ones on that list are Area 18 and Lorville, followed by Orison and New Babbage. The engine team worked on consistent capturing of both atmosphere and sky in cube maps, so we can seamlessly blend between global atmosphere and local cube map-based lighting. This will ultimately give us a higher level of visual fidelity. They implemented an improved compression algorithm for the new pack file system to allow for more efficient data streaming due to reduced CPU overhead during decompression. This is part of the new incremental patcher, which will ultimately make patches and updates much more efficient. They also did some work on our internal tool called PlanEd. We have several needs for marking areas on a planet, to identify where specific objects should be spawned within an ecosystem, areas to be punched out to embed brushes or complex structures such as landing zones. The code for this was unified, so it's easier to reuse and extend in the future as even more functionality in this regard is needed. The AI team has been busy as usual. This month they did some work on Buddy AI, where NPCs will intelligently follow a designated leader. They also made progress on Ship AI, getting it one step closer to be fully controlled via subsumption. One sprint they did this past month was focused on human combat. They spent time refining behaviors for first reactions to enemies seen and events heard. The reactions vary in direction and speed, from casual situations to quick reactions to loud events and so on. The clips you see here are put together in a way that just verifies the behavior via triggering the appropriate animation from a start pose to the action intended. Once the behavior is verified, they'll get fully hooked up in game and the popping won't occur. They also did some additional work on friendly fire to make sure friendlies are identified correctly in combat situations if and when needed. The Frankfurt VFX team has been continuing to work on effects for the various planet surface types. This covers a wide range of effects from simple footsteps to weapon impacts and vehicle tire effects. They also did some early experimenting with rigid body simulations and the workflow for Squadron 42 cinematics. This will cover the many mesh destruction and deformation animations that are required for the Squadron 42 single-player missions. The lighting team has been very busy bringing all surface outposts to their final lighting. This involves creating a consistent set of lighting fixtures, temperature charts, and rules which we can use to define how each type of outpost looks. We've also created a library of prefabs combining existing props with lighting elements, which can be easily iterated on and propagated across all outposts. The Tech Art team had a variety of tasks this month. They continued to create numerous mannequin animation fragments for the cinematic team. They implemented the game entity for the new KSAR Custodian SMG energy weapon with the blocked out mesh and rig. Now that it's implemented, other departments can start working with it in game, such as animation and VFX. They added additional features to our internal play blast tool to make it easier for the animators to create simple play blasts of their work, which are primarily used for animation reviews. They also made great progress with the new weapon dynamics and secondary motions, using both in-game physics and simulation. The initial results are promising, and secondary animation will add one more level of subtle detail and realism to the verse. The build engineer team grew by 1 member this month, bringing us to a total of 2 here in Frankfurt. So a good amount of time was spent getting him up to speed on how we function. They're ultimately both responsible for build support for our European offices, as well as working on both mid and long-term plans to increase both efficiency and reliability of our build process. For the environment art team this month, with the updated material distribution, the ecosystem ground materials have been improved on all 3 moons, adding a more varied breakup of the materials on the ground. The team is also close to wrapping up work on the landing pads that will go at the surface outpost. These landing pads will give the players a stable, solid landing point on what otherwise might be a rough landing. The surface of Delamar is getting its final polish, with geometry and materials being updated and fine-tuned. The surface is also getting an FX pass, adding an extra layer of visual interest to the environment and atmosphere. The area surrounding Levski will also have more areas of interest for players to explore. In Levski, final touches are being put into the customs area. All player traffic in and out of Levski will have to go through this checkpoint, so extra effort is being put into making visually interesting and ultimately hard for players to smuggle in unwanted goods. The work on the garages is close to done and ready to be included in the level. Once this work is completed, players will be able to request a vehicle in the garage and go out and explore the Delamar surface. The elevators in Levski have also been updated with new models, fitting the modular building set that we're using across the entire game. The game programming team has been working on finishing up the remaining weapon features for 3.0, such as the railgun cover animations, delayed recoils, and delayed ADS reticule. They also completed the first iteration of the doors and airlocks that we mentioned recently. Now the technical hooks for adding VFX and sound effects are being implemented, and they'll be ready for the rest of the team to use. With the help of other engineers from both the UK and LA offices, the technical design for the network code of the new weapon system is being fleshed out, and the overall research phase is coming to an end. The first test implementations will be started as soon as all other 3.0 tasks are completed. Cinematics is working with UK graphics engineering to test out first working version of our brand new holographic projection volume entity tech. This piece of tech essentially provides a target holographic volume with content fed from a source scene that gets rendered into the volume. It would allow us to, example, have larger-than-life characters communicating via hologram with characters in a scene, or have the hologlobe switch to a scripted mode and show mission briefings all in real time without resorting to things like pre-rendered motion graphics. This tech, minus the holographic component, will also be used to get comms calls from other ships and their cockpits in real time, such as the cockpit MFDs or other displays. As usual, team has also made great progress across multiple chapters for Squadron 42. We look forward to showing things off in the near future. The Frankfurt QA team started testing the new SIG data patcher in May, and testing has continued through into June. Patcher testing is done daily, as well as on the client, editor, and dedicated game server copied via SIG Data Patcher. Our main goal is to make sure there are no differences between builds pulled via the new patcher and builds pulled with our current internal build tool, Copy Build 2. Copy Build 3 has also been rolled out to QA at the beginning of June and has been in its QA testing phase in conjunction with SIG Data Patcher. Subsumption editor testing continues to be a regular part of their weekly tasks as new versions with new features become available. QA works closely with Tony Z and Francesco Riccucci in order to ensure that each subsumption editor release is free of anything that could block the development process. They also spent a good portion of time testing multiplayer gameplay in the Stanton system persistent universe level. The system design team continue to expand the library of usables to be used for both the PU and Squadron 42. The air traffic control is also making headway, and you should be able to experience this in-game fairly soon. They started work on the FPS companion/buddy AI, including all the orders you can give them, and the behaviors needed for those orders to take effect. The actor status system is being internally tested right now and is going through its final tweaking and balancing. They've also put some finishing touches to the conversation system to allow our cinematics team to create the best experiences possible. The weapons team blocked out numerous universal grip and optics attachments. They're converting the older blocked out attachments to work with our new attachment rail system and doing a quick first pass to test them on the existing guns to see how well they work and if any of the designs need to be adjusted. They also completed the first pass blockout for the Clausen Werner Demico, which is a laser light machine gun. For ship weapons, they finished the Preacher Armaments Distortion size 4 through 6 and upgrade levels 1 through 3. They also did a first pass blockout including rough animations for the Clausen Werner Laser Repeater size 1 through 3, the Neutron Repeater S1 through S3, and the Apocalypse Arms Ballistic Scattergun S1 through S3. And to close out the update, earlier this month, a large amount of people from the office attended a local bar citizen here in Frankfurt. Good people, good conversations. It was a really fun time and we're glad they organized it. That wraps up this month's update from Frankfurt. We all really appreciate the support and feedback you give us. We couldn't do this without you guys, and we'll see you in the verse.